Support for Jalen and Jacoby comes from Blue Apron. Blue Apron delivers farm-fresh, perfectly portioned ingredients and step-by-step recipes so you can make incredible meals at home. Rediscover how fun cooking can be while reducing food waste and supporting sustainable farms and fisheries. Visit blueapron.com/Jalen to get your first 3 meals, a $30 value, free with free shipping.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, dog?
I am David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
And we are Jalen and Jacoby live on ESPN Radio. What do we?
We get the people what they want.
Well, it's that time of year once again. For the 5th straight year, the Clippers have had a lead in the NBA playoff series and then gone on to lose that series, which begs the question, are the Clippers for real?
Are the Clippers for real?
We all know that these Clippers have a lot of decisions to be made. There's a lot of dominoes to fall in the next few months when it regards to free agency. But my question for you is this, Mr. Rose. After losing to the Jazz, Paul Pierce and Chris Paul hit the club. What do you think about that?
The season ended, and they wanted to drown their sorrows. There are a lot of different ways that people let out their frustration, their disappointment, their anger, their pain. And so I have no problems with them going out together, having a good time. The season ended, didn't end the way they wanted it to do. They didn't get themselves in any trouble. And I have no problems with it at all.
I don't have a problem with it at all either. I have one question for you, though, because I know what you and I would do the entire time. Did they just complain about their teammates the entire time they were out last night?
Not only do you complain about the teammates, you complain about everything.
The coaching staff, the practice facility, the plays.
Everything, the game plan, the refs.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything.
The
opponent.
All night. The Uber driver closed the partition in the car so he didn't have to listen to it anymore. He was interested at first, and he was like, God, these dudes just keep complaining. So many complaints. What do you think will ultimately happen with J.J. Redick, Blake Griffin, and CP3, all free agents this summer?
J.J. Redick is long gone. The dynamics in a salary cap-driven sport. He made $7 million this year, while his backup, Austin Rivers, made $11, and Jamal Crawford made $13. So he'll be somewhere else. CP3 has the opportunity to opt out, and if he re-signs, that's for $200 million. If he leaves, it's for like $140 or $150. Do you leave $40, $50 million on the table to go play basketball? I don't.
I do.
So therefore, he plays with the Clippers next year unless he decides he could get to Cleveland and run with LeBron James, or he can get to San Antonio to run with Kawhi Leonard. But that's a lot of money to leave on the table without a sign and trade. The big piece to this is Blake Griffin. He could get around $175 million to stay with the Clippers, around $140 million to go with somewhere else. Here's the deal. If I'm the Clippers, I try to find a partner that I can sign, then trade Blake Griffin. Here's why. Because at the moments that I needed him the most, he has not been there.
Nope.
Whether it's productivity on the court, whether it's injury. And so while I understand he's still going to be a productive player in this league, I have to find a way to revamp my roster with the anchors being Chris Paul at the 1, DeAndre Jordan at the 5, and see if we can put the rest of the team together, get more athletic on the perimeter also.
Doesn't it feel that if you have those fixed variables, Chris Paul at the 1 and DeAndre Jordan at the 5, that you would want to surround those two players with shooters and defenders? And Blake Griffin doesn't necessarily fall into either one of those categories, nor do some of the other players on the team. They're either or. Mapamute, defender. J.J. Redick, shooter. Do you see that being the future for the Clippers?
I do. That has to be the dynamic when you turn over the roster, because Chris Paul and DeAndre are both two-way players, and they're the anchors of your team. Now, they've always, the last handful of years, they struggled at the small forward spot. They continue to allow that position to be a revolving door. And then when you lose Blake Griffin in the playoffs, it really highlighted the fact that they were weak at forward. I really like the effort Bamute plays with, and he tries to make his open jump shots, but he's just not enough of a threat offensively to be the person that you just described. So like the Cleveland Cavaliers, shooting, defenders, and athleticism is what they need to go with those two guys.
Well, Do you see Doc Rivers coming back?
I see Doc Rivers coming back. They gave him a lot of money to coach basketball as well as make decisions in the front office. People are going to wonder, will he lose one of those titles? The deal has already been inked. You don't take away those titles and take away the money at this point of the game and still have him be the head coach. So don't be surprised if he has both titles next year.
There's news out of Atlanta that Dwight Howard is very upset with the Atlanta Hawks. He was benched during a lot of the fourth quarters during their series. And in the exit interview, he was unhappy. He's still on contract for 2 more years in Atlanta. After everything that Dwight has been through, it seems like he's upset after every season ending. Yep. What is the future for Dwight Howard in this league?
Can't keep running away. Here's what happens. Dwight Howard is going to put up the level of statistics if and when he plays long enough. And I know people hate when I say this because they don't forecast. He's going to have Hall of Fame numbers.
He's going.
When you look at what he's accomplished on the defensive side, Defensive Player of the Year a couple of times, led the league in rebounds, his credentials lend towards a player that's trekking towards being in the Hall of Fame.
He's all right, but he's not
The
real.
frustrating part about that is he forced his way out of Orlando because he was unhappy. He got himself to Los Angeles. He left Los Angeles because he was unhappy. He was in Houston. He was unhappy. He chose to go home where you hope to be able to find
happiness. It was all going to work.
And he's still unhappy. So at some point, here's where the Michael Jackson man in the mirror has to take place.
Ooh.
You're not an all-NBA performer anymore.
Nope.
You have the potential to be an all-star if you're playing on a really good team. If you're playing on a championship contending team, you're not going to be the first or the second best player.
You might not start.
So with that realization, now all of a sudden he has to find a way to embrace a role. That's what happens for people that have longevity. You're not going to be the guy that they're throwing the ball to on the block, trying to get him touches, trying to get him post-ups, trying to score, because you've shown that you can't consistently do that versus us spreading the floor and playing a drive and kick system. So because of that, he's still going to be with Atlanta, as you mentioned, because he's still under contract. He has to find a way to function and be effective in the role given to him, not continue to flex about what everybody else is not doing as it relates to getting him going.
So you're asking him to look at the man in the mirror, and you're asking him to change his ways. Sha-na-na, sha-na-na, sha-na-na-na-na. Just want to confirm.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. This is an interesting quote from Brandon Jennings. Not one to shy away from a microphone. He said this about Paul Pierce. Quote, "One ring don't mean you get a farewell tour." Timing is everything. He might have a point, but did he have to say that?
That's one of those comments where when you've been in the league long enough, you never know how they've crossed paths on the court, whether it's with a team, whether it's individually, them getting tangled up, them grappling with one another. That sounds like two individuals that have not played on the same basketball team. And I'm fine with it from both sides. Paul Pierce is still going to the Hall of Fame. Brandon Jennings is still playing on the Washington Wizards. Had a really good series in the previous series. Going to be relied to play big minutes in this series. That's all I hear from his comments.
And Paul Pierce didn't ask for a farewell tour. He didn't treat it like a farewell tour. He wasn't getting gifted stuff. They weren't stopping games and trying to recognize him or anything. I just felt like it was organically a farewell tour for Paul Pierce. Also, you make a good point. They probably did get tangled up at some point, and they don't like each other. That's probably what it is. That's probably
Which is fine. They've never been teammates.
Here we are in round 2 of the NBA playoffs. There have been a few game ones, but we will not let the outcome of those games affect our predictions, because right now we are going to put it on wax. We are going to tell you who we think will win the series and in how many games. Jalen Rose, we start with the defending NBA championship Cleveland Cavaliers. Who do you think wins the Cavs-Raptors series?
Cavs in 6. The Toronto Raptors are going to play a lot more physical. They're going to be a lot more competitive than people truly imagine. They have an all-star backcourt. I don't think DeMar DeRozan is going to take as long to get going in this series as he did versus the Bucks, because the Greek Freak isn't going to be guarding him at 7 foot tall. Kyle Lowry's got to be a key. I think offensively, he's going to have an opportunity to get going, because while Kyrie Irving is a terrific offensive player. Those two guys should have a really good battle. But the clear distinguishing factor, too much LeBron James.
Best player in the world. Best player in the series, in every series, best player in the world. LeBron
James, don't be surprised if he's flirting with triple-doubles each game. He has his signature 35, 40-point games, chase down blocks, mega steals, giving up good shots to get great shots, feeding JR, feeding Shump, feeding Kevin Love, feeding Channing Frye, drop-offs to Tristan Thompson. But however, it's not going to be easy. Toronto Raptors will create a physical challenge for that team. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be elbows. It's going to be feisty. It's going to be just what you want from playoff basketball. Serge Ibaka is going to have a big series, in my opinion. He and Kevin Love, that's going to also be another really good matchup. I need Valanciunas to give Toronto some consistent anchor play down low. I think because he's going to be able to, the Raptors, along with the other things I said, Corey Joseph coming in off the bench, find a way to get 2 games, but the Cleveland Cavaliers, the favorite, will advance.
I think the Cleveland Cavaliers will win in 5 games, and here's why. I believe in the switch. Everyone says, I'm not going to sit here and argue that the Cleveland Cavaliers played good defense the second half of the regular season. In fact, they played in some of the worst defense in the entire league, but I believe in the playoff switch. I believe that they have changed their mentality when they get into these playoff series, and I also know that they know for them, it's a marathon to 16 wins. And what they do is they're looking at not just at this series, they're looking at the next series, they're looking at the amount of games they have to play, and they will not do what they did last year and let the Raptors push them to a game 6. They will win in 5. And they, as always, they have the best player on the planet and in every series that they have. Staying in the East, the Celtics took a weird 1-game win over the Wizards. Taking that into account, who do you think wins this series and in how many games?
On paper, I picked the Washington Wizards to be the team to actually make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I'm going to stick with that, even though the Boston Celtics are going to win this series. Markieff Morris got injured in the first game. As Kobe Bryant said it, he affectionately was Jalen Rose. That was a high ankle sprain. It's one of those things that's going to take him a game or 2 to recover. When you get down a 2-0 deficit versus a team with home court advantage, we saw how the Celtics, after dropping their first 2 in the previous series, persevered. Isaiah Thomas, as we all know, is playing with a heavy heart, as well as the rest of his teammates who are trying to pick up for him. The Washington Wizards are still going to get dominant play from John Wall and Bradley Beal. Gortat is going to be on the boards. He's going to be a double-figure scorer. But the small forward by committee has to be more consistent. Otto Porter, Bogdanovic, Kelly Oubre, they're allowing the Celtics to hide basically Isaiah Thomas at 5'9" defensively on one of those players, while on the other hand, he's able to get 30-plus points. I think they won't be able to flip that dynamic in this series. Avery Bradley's going to continue to knock down shots. We know he's going to be a lockdown defender. Al Horford was terrific in Game 1. Crowder hit 6 threes. How about this? That was the first time Crowder's ever had 20 points in the playoffs. It was the second time this year that Al Horford has had 20-plus points in the playoffs. So all of these guys are trending up. Again, I felt like the Washington Wizards would win this series. So if I need to stay with that pick, I will. But I'm going to tell you who is going to advance, the Celtics.
I went back and forth in this over and over and over right before we did this show, and I ended up with the Wizards in 7, and here's why. When you watch Game 1, everything went right for the Celtics outside of that first part. Again, Crowder hit 6 threes. Avery Bradley was hitting threes. Seemed like everyone that was shooting threes was hitting threes. The crowd was into it. They're playing defense. The Wizards never found out a way to manipulate Isaiah Thomas when they had the ball. Like, as you mentioned before, they were hiding him on the 3, hiding him in the corner, trying to post him up. They're doing weird stuff that didn't really work, but I think they will make Isaiah Thomas work so hard on defense that it will affect his offense. And even with that 1-game deficit, I still believe the Wizards win this series in 7, and I can't believe I'm even saying that.
The Wizards can't win without a productive, healthy Markieff Morris at the stretch 4. They can't do it. They need his offense. They need his productivity. They need his toughness. And there is something that went wrong for the Celtics, I think, that you have a selective memory that you're not recalling. They started the game down 17 points. They actually had to pick themselves up, crawl back into the game, and still find a way to persevere. I appreciate how they played through that adversity.
Next, we have the Spurs and the Rockets. Another series that I believe will be tight. Who do you think wins and in how many games?
I'm going to say something that's blasphemous.
Uh-oh.
The San Antonio Spurs are going to watch the Houston Rockets advance in 6.
What? I think so, too. I said in 7 the Rockets are going to win. Why did you say that? We're both
More
picking
weapons.
against Pop. We're both picking against Popovich.
Here's what happens in playoff basketball. We're going to take away your first option usually. We're going to force it to your second option, and we're going to try to make life tough on that person. And then the ball usually ends up, unless you got Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or an all-time great player, in somebody else's hands. So for the Spurs, who is that going to be versus for the Rockets? And all I know is Eric Gordon made 200 threes. Ryan Anderson continues to be a great catch-and-shoot stretch 4. Trevor Ariza is going to give him toughness along with Patrick Beverly.
Nene went 12 for 12 in one game.
Kawhi Leonard's going to be fantastic. Nobody's slowing him down. I don't see that happening. He's going to be dominant on both ends of the floor. LaMarcus Aldridge will have his moments, but are they going to be 25 and 15 moments? Pau Gasol is going to have his moment, but are they going to be 18 and 13 moments? I don't think so. But here's the name I want everybody to watch for if the Spurs are going to advance. It's going to have to be this guy. You ready for this? Jonathan Simmons. He's going to be a player that allows them to play 4 around the three-point line with either Aldridge or Gasol, depending on who's playing well. So they could go against Nene, so they could go against Capella. That chess move is what I'm holding out for when I watch Coach Popovich that he may go to. But I have to give the Houston Rockets credit. They were the 3rd seed for a reason, just like the San Antonio Spurs were a 2nd seed because they're really well coached and they have a terrific star player in Kawhi Leonard. I just think the Rockets have more players that I'm going to see score 20 points in this series. Rockets advance.
I think the Rockets advance in 7 for pretty much the same reason. Then we finally have the Warriors and the Jazz. Do we have to talk about this one? Do we even have to talk about it? I have the Warriors sweeping the Jazz in 4 games. How do you think this series will play out?
The Golden State Warriors are going to win 4-1. So it's a gentleman's sweep, as we like to call it. But the Utah Jazz, because of their defense, will get a game. George Hill, along with Rudy Gobert, they'll find a way to get a game. Gordon Hayward's going to play well. They'll find a way to make shots. Rodney Hood, Derek Favors, they will find a way to get going and win a game. But however, the only team in the NBA that has 4 All-Stars is the Golden State Warriors. The Splash Brother Steph Curry, we know about Klay Thompson. Kevin Durant has a chance to rest, especially after coming back from injury. Draymond Green looks to be his healthy self, playing almost for a triple-double every night and bringing them toughness and tenacity. Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston. I just think that the Golden State Warriors will overwhelm the Utah Jazz.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
We don't force too many football topics on this show, but I had to discuss this one with you. There are reports that have been softly denied by Kelvin Benjamin, that he showed up to camp weighing 280 pounds. While he may not weigh exactly 280, he certainly doesn't look to be in mid-season form. Take us behind the curtain, Jalen. How do you gain that much in the offseason, and how do you lose it?
A few things. I think it's really important to point out the fact that he's a wide receiver. Not a lineman.
No.
On either side of the football.
Not a tight end.
He is a tall receiver, however, which means that he should be able to carry enough bulk that if you look at him, he probably could be 250 and still be effective.
He plays around 240, 250.
And so in the offseason, you're doing a lot of traveling or you're doing a lot of chilling. Doing a lot of champagne and campaigning or you're doing a lot of chilling. You're eating regardless.
Well,
you're not eating the best. Your eating habits continue to get worse as the summer progresses, and before you know it, we got mini camp.
It's in a week.
Oh man, let me go get on this trail.
I gotta go on a jog.
Oh man. Your habits are something as an athlete. This is why I say athletes nowadays, they train. Athletes in my day and or before, we worked out.
What's the difference?
These guys are required to stay in shape 365 days a year because that's what the best players in the game are doing.
So you used to kind of switch it off and switch it on depending on the season.
Well, you would find a way to actually take a break. But during that break, what are you doing? You can still be doing skill stuff. You can still be in the weight room. You're not pounding your body the way you're doing. You're not pounding your body the way you did during the grueling 18 games, 82 game schedule in the NBA or 16 regular season game schedule in the NFL. So you modify what you're doing, but the ideology that you could take days and weeks and months off, that has never been the case for elite athletes. Those that continue to have staying power in the league, they continue to work out all year round.
Can an elite athlete like Kelvin Benjamin just lose 20 pounds in 3 weeks at camp?
Yes. He'll be able to lose it, no doubt about it. Cut down on the sugar, cut down on the dairy, cut down on the bread. Lifestyle changes since you're back with your team, going to bed earlier, things of that nature. And they need him. Yeah. And by the way, Christian McCaffrey is who they got in the draft. And I know a lot of people see him and his stature and think, well, how they going to run a spread? Well, he can't really run between the tackles. Cam now is going to develop that short passing game. Yeah. And you know who else can run between the tackles? Stewart and Cam. And with that, they're going to have weapons. So they're going to need Benjamin to drop his weight and be a productive player because Ted Ginn went from being a guy that just stretched the field and may drop a ball to actually a guy that's a legitimate deep threat, and he's been holding on to the football.
I know you're on NBA Countdown this weekend. So how?
Greg Olsen?
I know you had to work this weekend at NBA Countdown, Jalen. How disappointed were you that you missed Fyre Festival in the Bahamas?
I didn't know too much about it until you brought it to my attention, then I looked it up. Big shout to Ja Rule, baby!
Ja Rule and his fellow organizers of the Fyre Festivals have a lot of questions to answer after people paid thousands of dollars to fly down there. They were put up in basically refugee tents, and there were a couple sandwiches that they were allegedly given that were just cheese sandwiches. And it was supposed to be sort of 4-star accommodations across the board. Here's the thing, though. Why are you flying to the fun when Ja Rule is the headliner? You know what I mean? Like, why are you getting on a plane and flying to the Bahamas to go to a Ja Rule concert? Ja Rule will come to your small local venue in time. If you just sit and wait in the next 3 years, Ja Rule will do a show in your town. There's no need to fly to the Bahamas for Ja Rule.
All he was doing was creating what you see at Coachella. He just did it internationally. Same things. People got tents, not good food. It's really crowded. You know, just he didn't have those artists. That's the difference. So don't talk to me about the accommodations because the accommodations at Coachella ain't the best.
Exactly. That's very fair. Can't Stop, Won't Stop is a new documentary sort of that Puffy is heavily involved in about the building of the Bad Boy empire leading up to the Bad Boy reunion show. 0 to 100, how interested are you in Can't Stop, Won't Stop?
100%. Wasn't the Notorious Big a member of Bad Boy?
Yes.
Little Kim?
Yes.
Junior Mafia?
Yes.
At one time, I remember Mary J. Blige and Craig Mack and G. Depp and Black Rob, Craig Mack.
The Locks?
The Locks. So many notable artists
112.
and people that have been influential in music. Faith Evans. So I'm definitely interested to see how a mogul like Puffy was able to establish such a brand that still carries.
Now I'm going to watch this. Like, this is right up my alley. I'm definitely going to watch this, but I am a little concerned. It might have like that Kobe Muse feeling where it's like you never want the subject of the documentary to be the lead creative on the documentary. You might not get an unbiased documentary. If I'm directing my own documentary, guess how I'm going to look in it? I'm going to look great. And all my decisions are going to be great. So who knows? One day the real story of how Bad Boy was built will be told. It just might not be in this particular documentary. Uh-oh. We have a power couple update. Russell Wilson and Ciara have given birth to a baby girl named Sienna. I'm very excited about this. How long before Future makes a reference to this baby in a song?
I think he doesn't do it. At some point, she's moved on. They've moved on. They solidified their love. their family and their relationship. He just got to let it rock. And I actually saw the news of them having their newborn, and obviously congratulations to them. But watching the draft, I started watching Deshaun Watson and thinking about how he can do what Russell Wilson did. Remember when he came to training camp? He wasn't a starting quarterback.
Nope.
They had just paid a guy to come from Green Bay that threw for 400 yards against my Lions and got a big deal. And Pete Carroll looked at him in training camp and was like, hey, I got to put the other guy in there that I just got from Wisconsin.
Yeah, I know.
He's a lot better than this dude.
I know how much you're paying. I know how much you're paying him. But
Correct.
Yeah. But
we got to have a real conversation.
I'm in practice every day. I'm going to put the best quarterback out there. I would love to see Deshaun Watson do that as well.
But we got to see, because I think Deshaun Watson has an opportunity to step right in with the Texans and have the level of impact, hopefully. Not many people do what Russell Wilson has did, not put him in that class. But hopefully he can get on the field and potentially make some plays.
Von Miller got a gigantic tattoo, I believe on his leg, that's commemorating their Super Bowl 50 win. It's got the Joe Lombardi trophy, the number 50, and then huge letters MVP. Gigantic tattoo celebrating your own Super Bowl MVP. Soft move or boss move?
At first I did a double take. And then I thought back to all of the people who have tattoos of individuals they've never met or have never done anything for them or representing things that they have not accomplished. If you want to get a tattoo for something that was really memorable, that was a high point of his life, boss move.
Boss move for me, too. It's like people don't celebrate enough. You know my theory. People don't celebrate enough. They can't take that banner from you. At no point in your life will you stop being the MVP of Super Bowl 50. So that's permanent. So make it permanent on your body. I support this, Mr. Miller. I like your tattoo.
Shout out.
Jalen Rose.
What up, though?
This is not a black and white world. It's not a yes or no world.
It's a crazy mixed up world.
It's a crazy mixed up world.
It's a dog world.
And we try to make some sense out of this crazy mixed up world with a segment we call 0 to 100. I'll ask for a question. You give me an answer numerically between 0 and 100 and explain why that's where it is. Are you ready for the first question, Mr. Rose?
Let's get it.
0 to 100. How much would losing a tooth in the first minutes of a game affect your performance for the rest of the game?
15% has happened to me before.
Really?
And like Isaiah Thomas, it looked like he was wearing a cap as opposed to getting a tooth knocked out to the point where the root actually is knocked out of your mouth, which is way different. As somebody that wears veneers, that has happened to me to the point where I started to wear a mouth guard. And if he has veneers or he has a couple of caps, he probably should consider it, because I eventually ended up wearing a mouthpiece the rest of the time.
Didn't the mouthpiece bother you, though? I feel like there's two types of basketball players, like people that wear mouthpieces and people that don't. Didn't that transition bother you a little bit?
It didn't bother me at all, because I wanted to keep my smile intact. Number one.
It didn't
Number
bother you as
two,
much having a bad smile.
I used to try to be on my Steph Curry with my mouthpiece, like at the free throw line, having it all out of my mouth and stuff like that. He just took it to another level, between the legs, behind the back, shooting 35 feet. I wasn't that skilled.
NBA mouthpieces get treated better than like everybody in my family. You know what I mean? They have their own little house with their name on it. There's a special mouthpiece guy who takes the mouthpiece and washes it and puts it into that little container. Like, NBA mouthpieces are living better lives than a large percentage of Americans.
Only when you're playing well and you're getting the benefit of the whistle. When you're not, you see what Steph did to his in the NBA Finals. They get treated really badly sometimes too.
The Cleveland Cavaliers have had some time off, and they've been on social media in limited spurts. We've got an uninterrupted video, LeBron James' little distribution network, and a lot of LeBron working out with his shirt off. 0 to 100. How much of LeBron not wearing a shirt working out is for function?
65%.
65% for function? I'm going 100% for show. Why do you think he's working out without a shirt on?
Because he's mentally training himself that he's doing something out of the ordinary. He's doing something different. He doesn't hoop with a shirt on. He doesn't walk around the streets all day with a shirt on. It's not like being a wrestler where you're in the ring with your shirt off. So now when I take off my shirt, I'm in a different mode. I'm in a different mentality. I'm throwing up this iron. I'm getting my work in. I'm doing extracurricular. It's just that mentality, in my opinion, that he's trying to channel.
So it's like a Bruce Banner, Incredible Hulk sort of a thing. Is it Bruce Banner or David Banner? You don't know. Moving on. 0 to 100. How much does Markieff Morris's health change the Celtics-Wizards series?
50%. If he can't go, they're going to lose in 6. If he can go, they could possibly win in 7.
Interesting. So you think that Marquise Morris's ankle health is what is going to swing this series ultimately?
Totally. And we've seen multiple injuries throughout the playoffs. Rajon Rondo with the Bulls. Gobert early in that series for Utah. Blake Griffin with the Clippers. So, totally. Injuries do play a factor, clearly.
0 to 100. How much, if he can't go, does Markieff Morris think about calling Marcus Morris to take his spot?
100%.
You got to. It has to at least cross your mind. It has to at least cross your mind. Like, would anyone really know? Would anyone really know?
Like, this is the reason we got the same tattoos.
Exactly.
We stay together. We got the same bank account.
Like this is the reason. This is the day. We've been preparing for this exact day. Marcus, here's my uniform. I'm going to go underground for a while. Take over. And if you're a Wizard and you notice that it's not Markieff, you don't even say anything. You just keep it moving. 0 to 100. How interested will NBA teams be in Will Barton as a free agent?
75%. Will Barton has shown that he has a really good career in front of him in the league. He can play on the defensive end. He can score. He can handle. Really slash. Denver came out of nowhere in a lot of people's opinion. Once they started giving minutes to Jokic, I think he's going to be a commodity if the Denver Nuggets don't find a way to sign him through next year.
We have a new heavyweight champion. Over the weekend, Anthony Joshua from the UK in Wembley Stadium beat Klitschko in 11 rounds. Hit him with an uppercut. Klitschko was rocked. And now here we have this guy, Anthony Joshua, saying that he's going to bring back the glory days of the heavyweight division. 0 to 100, how much do you think the heavyweight division will change now that Joshua is the champion?
95%.
Really?
What? I am interested again. I watched that fight. I saw early in the fight him drop Klitschko. The next round, Klitschko dropped him. Then later in the fight, toe-to-toe, he stopped Klitschko with a vicious uppercut. And my brother Max Kellerman said it best as the fight progressed. If Joshua finds a way to win this fight, it's going to go from excellent to epic. And that's exactly what took place. Here's a fighter that each time he stepped into the ring, 19 or 20 times, he's left with a KO. Really impressive. And he seems to be the guy that's not going to duck anybody. I'm excited about the heavyweight division. It's a jolt of energy that boxing needed.
Is heavyweight the best division from an aesthetic standpoint for fans to watch?
Roy Jones alluded to this. He was asked by Larry Merchant what made him decide to go and be a heavyweight. He said there's prize fighting, then there's heavyweight prize fighting.
Exactly.
And I know your mentality when you ask that question, that's what you mean. But you can't discount the middleweights. There have been some terrific middleweights, whether it was Sugar Ray, Hearns, and Duran, and then Floyd had his turn with Chavez. And we know the notable heavyweights from Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, Riddick Bowe, the list goes on and on, Lennox Lewis. So maybe it's time for the heavyweight division to stake its claim after Klitschko, who did a terrific job of holding it down for so very long.
As a die-easy Red Sox fan, there will always be a place for Manny Ramirez in my heart. However, that place gets smaller and smaller as time goes by. I did not even know that he was playing baseball in Taiwan until he hit a home run and the announcer made this call.
我有几个球真的打得不错。
这个球飞到了是在左外野方向。This ball is long gone, just like the ex-girlfriend who will never return. Home run.
This ball is long gone, just like ex-girlfriend who will never return. 0 to 100, how rehearsed was that home run call?
It was rehearsed 100%, but I like it 5%.
You're the best.
Blue Moon is brewed with Valencia orange peel and a touch of coriander. It's a creative twist on a Belgian-style wheat ale for a taste that shines brighter. Taste responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
There's so much stories in sports and pop culture. There's so many things that get discussed on so many different shows. You just get bombarded with all these headlines and facts and stories. So we use this one segment just to sort it all out. It's called Keep It Moving. I'm going to name a headline. Jalen Rose is going to say hit the brakes if he wants to discuss it, or keep it moving if it's not worthy of discussion. Philadelphia wants to host the 2026 Super Bowl.
Keep it moving.
The Buffalo Bills basically fired everybody.
Keep it moving.
Reports are that the Clippers want to re-sign both Blake and CP3 to max deals.
Hit the brakes. You're guaranteed to possibly win 50 games per year.
Yes.
So if you're playing for the regular season success, I understand that thought process. If your goal is to advance in the playoffs and hope to get lucky, an injury here, a good matchup there, and continue to matriculate and find a way to make the conference finals, I understand that line of thinking. But teams are continuing to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Houston, Golden State, clearly. Obviously, in the San Antonio Spurs have Kawhi Leonard. So on paper, you're fourth best already. And the Utah Jazz, who just
lost
beat
to the Jazz. You just lost to the Jazz, so you're probably, on paper, you're fifth best, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you're fifth best already.
Next, Larry Bird staying with the Pacers as a consultant, sort of like wink-wink role.
Hit the brakes. That's Larry Legend, the only person to ever win MVP as a player, Executive of the Year, and Coach of the Year.
Shout out.
The Jaguars will pick up Blake Bortles' 2018 option.
Keep it moving. We know it's a make-or-break year for him.
Syndergaard refused an MRI that the team suggested and then went out and tore something.
His money's guaranteed. Keep it moving.
The Michigan Wolverines had more players drafted than any other school at the NFL draft.
Jim Harbaugh effect, no surprises. Keep it moving.
A man in a gorilla suit crawled the London Marathon.
I know you'd be happy to hit the brakes on this one.
It took him 6 days. Okay? So here's the thing. Like, think about 6 days ago from right now. Think about 6 days ago from right now. That whatever it was, last Tuesday, last Wednesday. Now just think about you spent those 6 days crawling a marathon in a gorilla suit. That's ridiculous. Like that is just insane. I don't even know if that's true. I need to fact check this headline. That is just ridiculous. Think of all the meals that had to be eaten. He probably slept a little bit. You know, the bathroom breaks. This is just a ridiculous endeavor. I don't know how this starts.
Speaking of endeavor, I got a chance to see my brother David Jacoby complete the Los Angeles Marathon, and I got tired just watching. All right? Let alone me trying to do anything for 6 straight days on my elbows and knees. Not going to be able to do it.
He did it for charity. You know what I mean? So, like, shout to him that it wasn't just pure ridiculously. But at the same time, if anyone wants to run a marathon, let me tell you something. I really thought that my legs would be much stronger after I trained and ran a marathon. It goes the other way around. It's the complete other way around. After training and running so many long distances and then pushing my body to run 26.2 miles, it was 5 weeks ago and my legs still don't feel the same. Like, I feel like Paul Pierce after he came home from the club last night. Keeping it moving. Paul George only discussed scenarios of staying with the Pacers during the exit meeting.
No surprises. He under contract. Keep it moving. It's going to be discussed over and over again.
What else is he supposed to say? What? I'm thinking. You don't go to your girlfriend and be like, I'm thinking about leaving you. What options do you think I should consider? That's just not really how it works. The world's oldest human who outlived 4 wives, 10 siblings, and all of his children died at age 146.
Extremely impressive. Hit the brakes.
I have some more information, Mr. Rose. Would you like to hear it?
Sure.
Okay. An Indonesian man who claimed to be the world's oldest human at 146 years old has died. Gentleman was a great-great-granddad from Central Java. Let's get to the interesting part. He was reportedly hospitalized on April 12th, but insisted on checking out 6 days later so he could be taken home. He died shortly after having refused to eat or drink. He was also a heavy smoker. What? Your thoughts?
What? It's one of those things where everything we do could be to our detriment, but you try to minimize the risk as much as possible. I was fascinated to hear not only his good habits, but you acknowledge something that a lot of people consider a bad habit, smoking. you would say if you consistently did that, you probably wouldn't make it to 146. It just continues to acknowledge each of our individual plight is clearly represented by something that's way bigger than something that we could ever grasp.
0 to 100, how much do you believe that he was actually 146 years old?
10%.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. He had documentation that says he was born in December of 1870. Here's the thing. You might be born in December of 1870, but you don't have the proof. You know what I mean? I think presenting the documentation that you were born in 1870 actually supports the theory that it's a lie more than it does support the theory that it's the truth. Does that make sense?
Well, what makes sense is, first off, it wouldn't be a document, it'd be an artifact.
Yeah, it would be chiseled onto a rock or something. Like it's 1870. He's seen a lot, though. You know what? Shout out to Mbagato.
Shout out.
Sorry for your loss, family members. Jalen Rose, if you call 985-80-JALEN, people can leave us voicemails. And we'll play them on the show, just like this.
What up, Jalen Jacoby? This is Jamel from Brooklyn. I had a question for Jalen. If the Hall of Fame mogul called you when you was a senior in high school and you were making your decision on where you wanted to go to college, and he said, Jalen, I want you to be the next Magic Johnson at Michigan State, would you still have been part of the Fab Five? Was just wondering. Let me know.
That's a terrific question. Thank you for the call. Appreciate the love. My final two choices of where I was going to go to college were Michigan State, where I took a visit. I was hosted by my big brother, Steve Smith. Magic Johnson is my idol. I was fortunate, along with those two guys, Penny Hardaway comes to mind, as three guys that actually played point guard at 6'7" in college to get drafted at the same position. That was a thought. I chose the University of Michigan for the legacy reasons we still see at play right now 25 years later. I chose the number 5 because I was the 5th person to sign my letter of intent. I actually wore number 42 in high school. Wouldn't change a thing. Appreciate the call. Thank you for the love.
Let's listen to the next voicemail.
What's up, Jalen Jacoby? This is Alan from Detroit. I turned 24 today, so please shout me a happy birthday. But my question is for Jalen. Jalen, with this draft just going by, did you think the Lions roared or meowed? Keep giving the people what y'all want. Shout out.
Happy birthday, Alan. What up, though? I'm happy with what I saw from our Detroit Lions.
Really?
Went defense. We got a linebacker from Florida. We got a D-back from Tennessee. Both hard hitting. They both can play 3-4 downs consistently. They bring us the youth and the physicality we're going to need on that side of the football. We got offense. If you look back at our last few drafts, it's almost like we had drafted a defensive player and make a play offense. I like the fact that, in particular, we took a defensive player. More importantly, a defensive back. Here's some research for everybody. As a longtime Lion fan, I would say the only defensive back that's corner or safety that we've had make the Pro Bowl in the NFL, and I respectfully say this, you could be a 19th alternate in the NFL and make the Pro Bowl. The only person that has made the Pro Bowl as a defensive back, I recall, since probably early 90s is Dre Bly. So I am before Benny Blades, I think. So I'm very happy we went D-back. I'm very happy our choice with our Florida linebacker.
Oh, the lion roar is back. Just a matter of months until it turns back into a meow. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
What's up? This is Charlie from southeastern Michigan. So when you Google search Cameron, the pictures that show up to the right when you Google search it, 3 of them are him on a pink flip cell phone with a pink hat and a pink fuzzy blazer. The other 2 pictures are just normal pictures of Cameron. Having a pink flip phone with a pink hat and a pink blazer as what you see as pictures when you search Cameron.
Hold on.
Thank you.
Hit the brakes right now. Let me tell you something. Cats that are different, like Fab, like Ghostface Killer, like Cameron, will not be slandered on this program ever. in any way, shape, or form.
He didn't just have a pink flip phone and a pink fur. He had a pink car that he just got out of. He had pink everything. He had an entire summer where he had the entire city of New York wearing pink, and the next summer, everyone was wearing purple. Like, here's the thing. The caller, thank you so much for the call, probably isn't old enough or wasn't in the tri-state area that one summer when everybody wore pink because of Cameron. It is a boss move to go pink and only pink and all summer and have everyone follow you.
And let me take it a step further. All three of those guys I just mentioned, besides being from the New York area, you know what they have in common?
I do.
Bars!
I had a feeling you were going to say that, Mr. Rose.
Number two, if you keep scrolling those Cameron pictures, you'll probably see one with him and myself. And I'm wearing a brown fur coat. And that's probably one of the only 2 times I actually rocked that coat because I knew I was going to see him at the House of Blues that night and rocking his pink. Don't ever disrespect the Kim. Don't ever disrespect the Pink Panther Killer Cam on this program. It will not be tolerated.
You know why we don't need people to call in and disrespect Cam on this program? Because Cam gets disrespected from our control room all day, every day. You know, we've got an internal issue with Cam going on here.
You know what?
We don't need external issues too.
Y'all just reminded me of something. I got his number in my phone. I saw him at the Clippers game. He need to come on this program now.
I would love to have him on this program. Let's listen to another voicemail.
What up? This is Henson from Seattle. I'm 13 years old. My dream is to work for ESPN and have your guys' job. And my question is, Jalen, who is on your bars Mount Rushmore? Keep getting them checks.
You know what? I love that kid.
Yeah, but let's give him our job right now.
But I had to say this. I'm really competitive. I love being on television. I love working hard for a career that I established in radio, TV, film. This is my major in college. I've been on television now 15 years doing this. You want my job? You saw the fight the other night? Joshua and Klitschko? It's going to have to be that if you're going to take my job, young fella. And I'm giving you that knowledge for encouragement because I want you to keep working hard because if you believe it, you can achieve it. That's one.
Way to get gangster on a 13-year-old.
2, my Mount Rushmore bars, do we have all day?
No, we don't have all day. And if we do so many Mount Rushmores, I'm Mount Rushmore'd out. We need to start doing Mount Rushmores of Mount Rushmores.
So here's the thing.
Mount Rushmore's corny anyway. If I'm not going to Mount Rushmore. I'm going to drive 2 hours, fly somewhere, go look at a mountain, please.
There are a few people I just need to exclude off top so I can make this more interesting.
Who's not on the Mount Rushmore? You can do whatever you want, Mr. Rose.
So I want to exclude Eminem, Jay-Z.
What's happening? You're eliminating
people
from Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, because like there's certain people that just like don't even belong in this conversation.
Because they're gods?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, it's like
they
Muhammad.
Don't even belong in this conversation.
Okay, I understand.
And you know, Big, and then the whole Tupac thing. Like, so there's so many people. Don't do it, Jacoby. Don't do it.
Don't do what?
Okay. I thought you were going to do something you shouldn't do.
Nope.
Okay. So Eminem, Jay, Pac, and Big, we're going to put them over here. We're not going to even include them in this conversation.
You're falling for the trap, Jalen. Don't fall for the trap. Let's just move on.
Now there are 100 people I could just name. But I'm not going to because I'm going to leave somebody out.
Let's just move on. Listen to the next voicemail.
Jalen and Jacoby. What up, though? It's A.A. Ron from White Town, Ypsilanti, Michigan, to be exact. Man, I've been getting paid to listen to you fellas at the job site for a minute. But, Jalen, I've been a fan since you set the city on fire in 91 with the homies. So that led me to the thing, you know what I'm saying? I'm super excited about y'all coming to the city for the live show. So I'm thinking, having flashbacks to memories, and I'm like, question came up. I'm like, Jalen, what's your craziest or fondest memory you got of St. Andrews Hall? Because that's the perfect venue for you guys to be in. I'm thinking with the culture, history, shelter. So give me that memory, Jalen. And then Jacoby, holla at your boy, man. Have you tried that seafood pizza at Pizzapopolis yet? Either way, if you have or haven't, it's on me. Whole crew, Pizzapopolis on AA Ron. You come to town, I'm going to show some love. You got to try that seafood pizza. If you haven't tried it, if you have tried it, I know you want some more. So get at me, fellas. Can't wait to see y'all, man. So it's going to be on fire. Holla at your boy. Keep on giving the people what they want, man. And I am a person, so Holla at your boy. Peace.
First of all, that's definitely a person. That's a great call. And you know what? We said last week we're going to give away some tickets. Hey, Ron, you get tickets to the show. We're going to reach out to him.
I agree.
Do everything we can. Get him a ticket to the show. No, you don't have to buy the Pizza Papalis seafood pizza because I will be live tasting the Pizza Papalis seafood pizza on May 8th. Hey, Ron, join us on us. What's his question for you, Jalen?
I appreciate the shout. Thanks for the love. Early 90s, people sleep. Michigan was on fire, in particular the Detroit area. Desmond Howard won the Heisman Trophy. We had the hitman Hearns. Pistons just came off of back-to-back championships. The Wolverines won the championship in 1989. It was our turn. We're taking our turn again right now. Get ready. Earl Flynn doing the J on the scene style. Detroit, it's our turn. With that being said, anybody that's old enough to have seen St. Andrews transform over the years has seen it be a club, adult entertainment in the state, a club, adult entertainment establishment.
Wait. We're doing our live show at an adult entertainment establishment? I didn't know that.
What? I said anybody that's been in the Detroit area over the last 20-plus years has seen St. Andrews evolve.
Okay.
From a place that's been a club, a place that's basically been an adult entertainment spot, a place that hosted concerts and shows. So many people that had live guests come in out of town and host parties. So all of those things I've probably participated in at least once. So I will say my fun times at St. Andrews equal don't get fired. Double A, see you at the show. I'm a person too.
Shout out.
We are now going to open up that Twitter feed because we have a simple motto on this particular radio program. That is... First question we have is from comedian the DA. It's a very interesting question that we could talk about for quite some time. Are you ready, Mr. Rose?
Yes, sir.
Was Blake Griffin ever a superstar, or was he merely a really good or very good player?
He was an all-star player, perennial. He's been an all-NBA performer. His ability to capture the nation by how he performed in the dunk contest put him on superstar status, but he actually never was that level of performer.
I will say this about Blake Griffin. His star status was at a level higher than his on-court performance. If you remember about 4 years ago, when the internet was just starting to embrace video and social media and seeing videos on social media and that immediate turnaround of highlights, when he had that Mozgov highlight, that Brandon Knight highlight, he would capture the nation in YouTube in a way that other basketball players hadn't because they technologically couldn't. And at that point, like, before Steph Curry started taking over and every kid under 15 going to a game was wearing a Steph Curry jersey, they were wearing Blake Griffin jerseys. The injuries, the sort of, the change of the game, and I think that his legs are not the same as they used to be, will keep him from that superstar status that he once had, but his on-court performance has always been at that star level, not superstar. Do you
More
agree?
people have always been wearing more LeBron, Kobe, I can name multiple players, jersey than Blake Griffin, but I agree with your assessment.
JT wants to know how much of the Bucks' success can be attributed to Jason Kidd.
A lot of it, because your head coach dictates your style of play. And I saw a few years ago, which is why I called them Team Futuristic, that they were going to play positionless basketball, and that's where the game is going. Now you have Greek Freak at 7 foot tall, basically as the primary ball handler, a guy like Thon Maker playing multiple positions, switching everything on D. So I give the former triple-double threat, Jason Kidd, a lot of credit for that, and developing a young team through the draft, which is really hard to do.
Next question is from Becky. It's important, Jalen. Becky says, my ex and I are thinking about giving it another chance. What advice would you give me in that regard?
Keep an open mind and follow your heart.
My advice would be don't ask too many questions about what happened when you guys weren't together. That's my advice. Just don't ask too many questions about that time, whether it was a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. You know that he dated Sarah. Just don't ask any questions about Sarah. Pretend Sarah never happened. Uh-oh, staying with the dating, Christian has another important question. Boss move or soft move? Dating your friend's sister.
Soft move.
Soft move. Yep. There are so many women in the world. There are literally billions. There are billions. And I know that there might be a mutual attraction there, and I know that you can't control the people you're attracted to, and you can't control love, but you can a little bit. And you know what? Like, just don't. Just don't. Don't.
And that gets elevated when you're a public figure. I can't imagine how many times that such and such's ex, girlfriend, fiance, wife, and you get a chance to see them out and about, you like, nope, off limits. I remember we were at the Super Bowl, and David Jacoby was like, you know what, Beyonce, woo, let's check it out. I'm like, you want to look at Jay-Z's wife?
You know what? I find Beyonce attractive. I do. Just because she's married to someone else doesn't mean I have to lie to myself into thinking that Beyonce is not attractive. That's all. That's all I have to say.
Stop gawking at somebody else's wife.
Sorry. Joey Bats has a question which you're not prepared for, and I'm not prepared for, but I'm going to try my hardest to think of it. Which fictional death, or what is a fictional death that you will never get over? What character in a book, movie, or television show passed away that you will never be able to recover from? This is tough. I'm not prepared for this one.
A fictional death. You know what? I hated to see Freddy Krueger go.
You're the best. You're the best. You're the absolute best, Jalen Rose. You're the best. Freddy Krueger killed literally hundreds of people. You're not worried about any of them. The murderer that would go into your dreams and harass you while you slept, that's the one that still bothers you to this day. You're the best, Jalen Rose. So you know what? You know what? I think that this show would be 10 times worse if you actually prepared for it. Yeah. You know, I really think so, because those
You didn't like the glove with the knife and the striped sweater?
No, I didn't
and
love
the hat?
that. I was terrifying. I watched those movies when I was like 11, and I couldn't sleep for like 10 days. Please, Freddy Krueger is terrifying. Yep. I honestly haven't seen one of those movies since I was like 15 because I'm still scared of him. I would love to watch him die. Moneymaker Mitch has a question.
Mitch.
I have questions about Mitch's question. Soft move or boss move? Guys who wear cotton jeans. Hashtag comfortable. Hold on a second. I might be confessing something that I shouldn't confess right now, but I always thought that denim was made of cotton. Am I wrong?
I thought that too. I looked down when I heard the question.
It's like, wait, is it? I mean, maybe Mitch is right and we're both wrong, but I'm going to stand by my guns here. Denim is made of cotton.
And also, too, I'm not going to make a blanket statement about materials, about linen or cotton or leather. Keep an open mind.
It's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. I could wear a pair of linen pants if I was on vacation. I could wear a pair of leather pants. No, I couldn't. I could not pull off a pair of leather pants. Jalen Rose, have you ever owned a pair of leather pants?
No.
You've never owned a pair of leather pants. That's disappointing.
At the time when Eddie Murphy was rocking them in Raw, I couldn't afford that.
No.
And by the time I got older, it wasn't really my style.
Eddie Murphy's satirical choices for his stand-up movies are very questionable. That's all I have to say. In my mind. I was not watching Eddie Murphy saying, God, I wish I had enough money to buy a purple leather suit. What? Next, we have, from BJ, where would Pierce rank among the all-time greats?
He's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yep. He's going to the Hall of Fame.
First ballot.
You know, Brandon Jennings thinks that he shouldn't get a farewell tour, but he'll be in the Hall of Fame, and I don't rank player. I'm not the Podfather, so I don't have an individual ranking for every single player that ever touched a basketball. But you know what? Paul Pierce isn't a legendary superstar that's going to, should be the logo one day. He's not at that level, but, he was a great basketball player, made a bunch of all-star games, won a championship, and carried the Boston Celtics for almost a decade. Yep. James has a simple question, Jalen. Greek Freak, NBA MVP 2020, question mark.
That's fair. That's legitimate. I can go for that.
It's about 3 seasons away.
Yes, support.
Yep. Huh. What? Ooh, interesting. Why do you support this so heavily?
Because if he stays in Milwaukee, there's the likelihood that he may play with another All-Star, but unlike the Golden State Warriors, they have 4 All-Stars. So he has to share the opportunity. At that point of his career, he may still be leading the team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks.
Here's an interesting question. These are 4 players that are sort of like often brought up as changing of the guard, future superstars, prototype for a new generation. I'm talking about 7-footers that do a lot of things. Anthony Davis, Kristaps Porzingis, Karl Anthony Towns, Giannis Antetokounmpo. If I had to put those in order, not only would I put Giannis Antetokounmpo at number 1, I would put him at number 1 with a large gap between him and number 2. What do you think about that core 4 and their future in the league?
I love each of those players, but based on this conversation, I agree with you because of his perimeter skills.
Mm-hmm. Can't shoot like the others can, but can certainly do a lot of other things and has more ball skills than the others, in my opinion.
Mainly create and play offense, handling the basketball, but also lock down defensively multiple positions on the perimeter as well.
Y'all excited for Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4 this Friday? I am. And then it says, hashtag Jacoby is a company man, which makes me think I believe Marvel is somewhat owned by Disney. And in that case, yeah, I'm excited. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I will totally go and see you on an airplane when it comes on demand. I mean, in the theater. I've got 3 kids. I'm not going to the theater. Finally, Jalen Rose, a question for you. Why do people like to go on safaris and get that close to lions and cheetahs?
So you want to try something that you've never tried, experience something that you've never been exposed to. It's just that you can't dictate the level of danger that one of those animals could cause if they snap.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2 and ESPN News, and subscribing
to
the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
You're far too kind.
We give the people what they need.